Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Valkyrie Spear neutral sword list. So we've got, your goblins, your unikas, all those kind of basic neutral cards along with the Valkyrie Spears for an extra boost. Goblin Leaders, Cinderella's, Kiss of the Princess, Card of the Council, Alice, all your pretty nice new cards that fit really well in the neutral sword list. I do have another sword deck that we will be covering that is different to this one, so don't be ashamed if this is just a different kind of sword deck than what you've been seeing around lately, because it is just a little different. And there's nothing wrong with that, so we'll get right into the games here and we'll check that out. Alrighty, we have game 1. Sword versus Blood. If you're wondering where the Japanese voices come from, you can check out my previous video on how to get Japanese voices now that they have been changed. Alrighty, so we quite simply start out with ending our turn because it's just nothing to play. Turn 2 on the other hand, we do have Valkyrie Spear, which fits really nicely into our curve here. Now it's just a matter of going Cinderella or Goblin, so it's just a matter of what they play to what's better play here. I did decide to take the Goblin in the end. Probably not the best move due to the 2 1/1s being on board, but I thought screw it, we'll get our board presence up before dropping anything else. And they do go for the Goblin Mage here, which is kind of okay. It's not too bad to deal with. Our Goblin trades pretty evenly and we can pretty much freely drop the Cinderella. Plus, just hitting the face, because we don't need to really worry about the Goblin. They do go for the Bahamut, just because it trades quite nicely with this 4/4. We are left with a few options. Council of Cards is quite nice. Especially when you have Valkyrie Spear and you're getting good boosts. You can easily add up the Club Soldier's attack, give it a quick evolve, and then use the others to avoid damage. Plus, we also have Kiss of the Princess, which is nice. Because I'm pretty sure all these are classed as neutrals, if I'm right. Which is why they all got boosted, obviously. So yeah, they are all neutrals. So they are affected by things like Kiss of the Princess, even though they come from a Swordcraft spell. So we boost the Banish. Just because I want to even out the stat lines and I'm throwing up a ward anyway, so why not? We get to push 10 and leave them with 4, putting them halfway to being in Dance of Death range. They quickly realise they're not going to have much left here, and that they can't deal with a 6/9, but they do throw up the mask, which blocks me out, unfortunately. So I do buy myself a turn, easily dropping the Goblins. Goblin being A-okay with everyone right now. Everyone wants to play Goblin. And we clear it pretty nicely. So that closes game 1, so we're going to game 2. So, game 2 is against Arun. And if I'm right, this is the new Airthrite variant, I think. So we go for that nice Valkyrie Spear Goblin Alice combo again. This combo is pretty much the thing that will win you most games if you play this deck in particular. Obviously in most cases the Goblin combos do work really well against the cross decks. Being able to curve easily into Spear, Goblin, Alice and then card is really quite powerful. Even if you hold off on the Alice just to run the card knights. And we get another Spear. So sometimes it's nice to fill the board with spears. We don't take this option here in particular. Sometimes it's, even if you're going to lose Goblin Leader, it is still worth playing out as a 2-for-1. Which is nice. Unfortunately they do Gingerbread House, which is a little frustrating. But it does cost them more cards, so pretty okay with that. So this time around I decided to go with the Valkyrie Spear and the Lyriel. Playing out more spears, allowing Council to really get boosted off these next turn. And just hopefully set up Alice for turn 6. I didn't really have anything decent to boost in hand with Alice, so it was definitely better doing it this way. So we aren't in a great spot. They've been clearing pretty much everything we put down. It's these like Council of the Cards or Card Knights that are just really powerful. Especially when you're comboing them with things like Spear and Wonderland. So we do see Levi get dropped. A little pain in the ass to deal with. And the Crimson Sorcery cleaning up the 3/3s. And just enough to get rid of my 5/5. But they don't. Because I realised that's teaching. Whoops. My mistake. But no, having that 5/5 was pretty good. Getting it into a 6/6 and being able to boost it again with Merman into a 7/6. Taking over half the health and boosting a few really not small things, but smaller things into much bigger things. So we did put most of our stuff on board here, which puts us in not a great spot. And they get a favourable trade here with most things, being able to clear off the entire board and still be left with 3. Luckily they don't really play much else. Magic Illusionist, a little bit of a difficult card, but definitely not impossible to deal with. So I decide, screw it, we're short on cards in hand, we're going full Valkyrie Spear here. And the Goblin's just kind of a deterrent so that the 2/2 doesn't ram me in the face and drop my health any lower just in case. Because Call of Chaos could be easily dropped turn 8. So we do draw into Grimnir, which means I've only got to outlast a few turns to be able to pull that off. Being able to deal 4 to their face is just really crucial in this matchup. Fortunately I am going to take some damage. So I do draw into Card Council, and fortunately this card gives me the Storm and the Ward, and I sacrifice the Bane to banish. So the order that these come out is really crucial. Being able to get the Storm and the Ward even with a triple amulet set up like this is really important. So we push the 6 to face, knowing that Grimnir can drop next turn and that we have warded off at least a few damage points here. And for them to be able to kill me would require them to have stocked up an extra mage or something from earlier, which luckily I believe they didn't do. Now even with that heal, still within Grimnir range. If I hadn't have had that, I would have pretty much lost this match, unfortunately. I feel like this rune deck that's up here is going to be quite a powerful deck, and probably pretty difficult to deal with. So we're going to game 3. So game 3 is against Haven again. This time a Storm variant, I believe. I don't think it's a tempo variant. I don't believe it is. I believe that they're running Storm. So as we kick off turn 1, we don't really have anything. Luckily the curve for turn 2 is a little better with the Valkyrie Spear. So all we have to do is draw into a 1, 2 or 3 drop to combo with it, and we do. We get Goblin Leader. So that follows up with turn 3 quite nicely. Our cat would really hurt Goblin Leader if we didn't have Spear in this situation. Luckily with Spear it doesn't matter, and we draw Grimnir, which is purely just a better play, being able to completely avoid our cat. So they follow up with their own Goblin Leader, so this kind of makes me think, yeah, it was their own tempo variant. I played that many games with this deck, sometimes I lose track of exactly which match is which. So we get Goblin up to a 4/6. Quite a nice little play. Fortunately they do drop Alice, boosting up their entire board, making it more difficult for me to trade. Not impossible, luckily. So double strike face, leaving up my 4/6 Goblin. which creates a nice little bit of trade, I guess. Along with the fact that all this goblin stuff gets boosted. So, I swear all neutral decks eventually will just be titled Goblin deck, due to how the neutral support is. So take care of that. 2 4-1s, a 3-1 and a 2-2, and the 3-1 will allow me to summon a 5-5 if I get it killed. So we do get the Tin Soldier coming down, probably one of the more powerful cards that Haven was given this expansion, next to the Tiger, or Lion, sorry. Lion is the new one that gets boosted every neutral. So, I thought about this play, and using this I'm able to boost the Goblin to a 3-3, which I thought was quite good, and then just trade off, allowing me to get full, basically, board pressure here. So, the Call of Coyotes is really something I'm thinking of dropping from this deck. I don't think it's worth it, but we can talk about that when we go back to the deck list. Alright, so we'll talk about what I see as being quite strong in this deck and things that I'm thinking of changing soon. So, first off, Card Council. Probably one of the strongest cards in this deck, especially when comboed with either Spear or Wonderland. It's just amazing. The Club Soldier, the Heart Guardian, and the Spade Raider is just crazy for what you get out of it. The Alice, obviously, being the key card in any neutral deck, there's not really too much to say about this card. The +1/+1, just great. Goblin Leader, a 2-for-1 3-body, gets boosted very, very easily. Can be pretty much anything you want it to be. You know, want it to be a game ender, want it to be an opener, works pretty much any time. A few cards I'd probably drop. Angelic, Angel of Word, maybe Actress. Actress works well in some situations, but in others it doesn't, so I'm not 100% on that. Wise Merman is a iffy card. I'd much rather a different 1-drop, but there isn't really many options for 1-drops in that regard for neutral. And Call of Coyotes, I'd probably drop one of those for an extra dance and probably add on to one of the other cards, either an extra, probably an extra Unica, honestly. Go up to 2 Unicas, maybe even drop the Wise Mermans for a couple of Alberts or something. Even though they're not neutral, they will still work as a final game finisher, so nothing wrong with having those in the deck, which the other deck you'll see tomorrow probably will be very, very more optimized than this one. It's definitely got Alberts and more sword. It's kind of a hybrid neutral, so make sure to look out for that deck. And if you did like this deck, you'll find all relevant links in the description below, including a deck list. And you can hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content. And I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.